In an interview this week, President Joe Biden could not name a single thing he regrets from his entire presidency. And before I show you this clip, I just want to reiterate that I said President Joe Biden because he is currently the president of the United States. All right, here it is.
As you prepare to leave the White House, any other regrets that you have? Anything you wish you would have done differently?
Well, I guess if I thought a lot about it, it'd be something I would done specifically done, but not generically.
That's kind of refreshing. A president who admits he doesn't think a lot. Look, I know this is Joe Biden we're talking about, but you do think he would maybe be able to come up with at least one thing? It could have been a big thing, like the disastrous pullout of Afghanistan in a disgusting attempt to try to score political points. It also could have been something smaller, like claiming his uncle was eaten by cannibals. Or not installing an escalator on Air Force One. Or that thing where he kept trying to shake hands with invisible people. Or whatever this was. Or how about this?
The group included groundbreaking Asian Americans like Vera Wang and Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce it, Shanga Kawawa. I think I pronounced it correctly. She can call me Joe Biden.
Yeah, Joe Biden. Just don't call him Joe Biden late for dinner. But back to this week's interview. The closest he came to admitting he did anything wrong was to say that he should have been better at talking about how he was helping the economy and how what he was doing was just going to take a while.
I think the one thing that I should have spent more time talking about is these things are going to take time to be put in place. I think the failure to connect between what's happening to the economy as a whole and what's going to happen to the middle-class Americans as a consequence of what we've done, it's going to take a little bit of time.
He also dropped this doozy.
So there's a lot of things and I'm not going away. I'm not no longer going to be president, but I'm going to be deeply involved in matters.
Deeply involved in matters. What matters? Eating pudding on the beach? Anyway, so near the end of the interview, he was asked what he'd want his legacy to be as president.
How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
I kept my word that when I said I was going to do something, I did.
Yeah, sure. He totally kept his word, except when he lied and said he wouldn't pardon his son. Oh, man. Julie, what did you think of that interview?
I thought it was so well done. He was so eloquent. I'm so glad that we kept him in office this long.
Right.
I can't believe that he was actually 2 heartbeats away, and then the third he'd probably be dead, of actually becoming reelected. I mean, this man was actually going to run for president up until July. And then Kamala. Then we could have ended up with Kamala, which I don't know which is worse. But I would say I'm not surprised that he can't name any regrets, because I don't think he could probably name any memories or any accomplishments or any achievements. So why would he remember any regrets? I mean, he can't even name his grandchild's name. Why would he remember any regrets? Speaking of regrets.
Yes. David, do you think he's got regrets?
I don't. You know, Joe Biden, I think Jill has regrets. Also, we're not calling her Dr. Jill Biden anymore. She can't. She's Mrs. Biden now. Okay, you can't pull a fast one all those years. But he looks like a nightmare. And I'll tell you who's the hardest hit. It's the previous presidents. You know, because they always made it seem like that was a hard job. You know, they would have those somber like profiles of like Obama would be looking all contemplative and this is hard. We have to make. Meanwhile, he's just watching Wheel of Fortune, eating fried Cheerios. They're the ones who are most struggling with this, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Charlie, the New York Times came out with a piece just recently that said it would be, quote, hard to imagine that Biden seriously thought he could do the world's most stressful job for another 4 years. Yeah, no, right? But what took them so long to admit that? I mean, you saw many of those clips were from quite a while ago.
The election. That's what happened. As soon as the election was over, they didn't have to keep up the lies. And it's kind of funny when you read that story, they talk about how people traveling with him noticed that he had to be held up by foreign leaders walking across the stage. And it's like, okay, people traveling with him, that was the press. That was the New York Times. Yeah. This has been obvious for a very long time. But, and I think what Julie said is right. I mean, the silver lining for him is, I don't think he has any regrets because he has no idea what's going on. He has no thoughts one way or another. He leaves. He kept one promise. He was going to unify the country. 66% of the American people disapprove of him, which is the highest disapproval rating in the history of presidential polling. And he's going to get a $20 million book deal. Who knows who's going to write it or what kind of word salad that's going to be. But he's going to get the $20 million, and he'll ride off, and I don't think he'll be off to bigger, better things.
Yeah, to David's point, Tyrus, he literally just, you know what he did? He basically quiet quit as the president, right?
Yes, and I wholeheartedly disagree with Charlie. He's going off to bigger and better things. He's going to Valhalla. This interview upset me. This is cruel and unusual punishment. Mm-hmm. Like, what journalist in their right mind, when he saw on the docket he was going to interview Biden and thought, I'm going to go down memory lane with Joe Biden. Where the have you been? Like, what? I'm sorry, but I understand. The horse has got a broken leg. You don't keep racing it, okay?
Memory lane is a very short lane for Joe Biden.
Again, this isn't someone who's, well, he was a deceitful person, but this is a person who's afflicted with life. Like, Father Time is pulling the plug, just real slow, right? So making him do interviews is mean. It's not, and here's the part. There's a part of him still trying to turn this around. There's a voice in his head going, we can still run again. We can fix this. And the rest of it says, look out our eyes in the mirror. He's past the point of no return, and he should be comfortable at home and, for the rest of his days, and let the people who've been running it, Dr. Jill, Pelosi, anybody who showed up to work early on Wednesday, whoever's been running the country, let them ride this one out. Whoever's writing these pardons, you might want to do a background check on them because it seems to being a lot of bad people being let out. So again, I think it's criminal to interview him right now.
Well, then we wouldn't have any content for this show. Counterpoint.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.